Welcome to the B2B Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Sierra Cristo. What was a big learning curve that you can share with folks in this industry that helped you really find your momentum with Honeybug?
I wish, again, it was something that was like this incredible aha moment, but it really was cash flow. Like that was it, manage the cash flow. And I'm sure any entrepreneur has that exact same experience. But as a brand person, we took off very quickly. People wanted to buy the product we had. That's what I knew, product and marketing and brand. And so it took off. But then, being able to sort of manage the growth, I think early on, we grew too quickly and it starts to put a strain on cash flow and resources and things like that. And it's scary when you look back on it that I feel many times we could have stepped on catastrophic landmines. And we did step on landmines, no doubt, like quite a few, but they weren't absolutely catastrophic in the long run. And that's the part that I think making sure you're fixated on what the long run looks like and the cash flow in a long run, not just sort of the top line metrics of things and not just the unit economics, like the actual cash flow of it, because that is the lifeline of the business. So just things like that, making sure that was in order really was kind of the unlock for everything and, in the long run.
I would say that's a big one. Like, I think whenever you're starting a business, especially if you've come from a more structured corporate environment, there are so many little things that you take for granted in the sense of process and the sense of structures, certainly cash flow. But I also think, processes going into the baby and kids industry in particular, like Jen mentioned before, there are so many brands that are sort of making onesies in their basements, or this is like a growing brand, but they also don't have that structure. And so you have to create that. And so working with vendors on processes, on timelines, things that when you're in a larger organization, those already exist. And we've worked with some of the largest suppliers in the world from a food perspective. And there's just sort of, you walk into an organization like that and you think, wow, this is already established. None of that exists when you're starting from scratch. So things like payroll, things like taxes, like we've had to learn so much about those processes. But at the end of the day, I think overall cash flow is the number one that you kind of take for granted, that you don't realize, if it's really great this week, come Monday, you might be in a completely different situation. So you have to really think through all of that on a day-to-day basis and manage it very closely.